Now the link is streaming in the bottom of the stream. Please move there. And once again, welcome. So what we want to do, guys, we want to really make this sort of informal and fun. And before we explain what we want to do today and then what we want to do in the next series, let me just do a quick introductions. I'm Anton Latic. I'm the CEO and founder of Integrail AI, the platform for easy and fast creation of AI agents. I have here with me Andrei Kovrizhny. He's a professor of economics in Arizona State University. Andrei, want to say hi?
Yes, hello everybody. It's good to be here. I'll be a viewer who is clueless about what's going on and who's curious and who will be asking questions. So I will be playing on your side for this stream.
Yeah, so basically, our idea is that we wanted to build the agents based on the ideas that people have. Like if you are, for instance, a small business owner, or if you're a manager in a corporation, or if you just have an idea for your personal agent that you would like to build, or you're just wondering what is possible. Eventually, we want to make this show interactive. We want to have you as guests so that you would join us on the show. We would discuss what challenges you are facing, and then we would be building those agents together to see if they are able to help you, if they're able to solve your problems. So, all right, with that, let me see if we're getting comments here. Yep, should be good. Okay, so let me switch to screen sharing for the integrail. This is the main page of our system, and what it does, it allows you to combine different LLMs or large language models such as ChatGPT and similar. We support all kinds of large language models. We support everything from OpenAI, from Anthropic, if you know Claude. We support the Google models from Gemini, etc., etc. So you can use all of those LLMs, you can combine them together, and you can create useful agents that actually do stuff for you. So before we start building some of those agents, let me also share a real quick one slide from the presentation to talk about what an agent is in terms of the definitions that we have in AI. So, right, I have it right here. Let's see if it's showing. Yep. So this is a definition of an agent, and actually many people are struggling with what an AI agent is. Some people think it's a special kind of software. Some people are trying to compare it with something that is able to generate applications or software, etc. But I find that the best analogy is to think about AI agents as about human beings, because they are actually quite more flexible than just software. And this is a very important point. So just as us human beings, we have eyes, we have ears with which we perceive the world around us. So the agents as well can perceive the outside world by using those sensors. And then we have hands and we have feet and we have mouth to enact a change in the external world. In the same way, the agents can do a change in the external world via talking to different applications via API or via browsers, etc., etc. We have memory, agents have memory. We have brain, agents have brain, etc., etc. So basically, whatever we are building during these sessions, it will be all based on this picture. But I'm not going to go into this theory too much because it can get boring. But today we wanted to start actually with something fun, because agents can do pretty much anything for you. The imagination is your limit. But what we want to start with today is with an agent that helps us travel. So I really like French cuisine. I'm sure many of us do too. But if you ever travel to France, you probably know that they don't really speak English all that much. And if you don't speak French, it's actually quite difficult for you when you're in a restaurant to understand what is being served and what is the story behind this or that dish, even though it's actually might be quite interesting when you for you to understand that. So let us with that start with doing that. So basically what we want to do, we want to build an agent to which we give a screenshot of a menu. It can be English language menu, it can be French language menu. Our agents should understand it. It should put it into its memory somehow, and then it will be able to communicate with us and talk to us about the dishes that are available, and maybe make it even more entertaining that a regular waiter could do for you.
Okay,
So
can I stop you for a second and
yeah,
just talk a little more about the big picture here? We have an agent who will be helping us to make choices in the restaurant. So the first step will be that we will put in the menu, like take a picture of it or somehow put the information in, and that will be kind of our context. And the idea is not just to have it translated, but to give us kind of more context, more research immediately. And it's a sample. It's a special case of a research agent who is very easy to interact with. Is that a reasonable way to look at that?
yeah.
All right, so let's proceed.
Let's
Okay,
start doing
I don't
this.
know. I'm sorry if I'm interfering with your plan, but can you take us back to this slide that you showed, and in the
Yeah.
context of this agent, walk us through those concepts, like
Yeah, that's
map them.
actually a very great point. So eventually, the agent we want to build should be able to understand our menu with sensors. So currently, what we're gonna do, we're gonna just take a screenshot, and the sensors will be well, the instruments that we put on integrail that allow those agents to understand the images. So that will be the sensors. Then eventually we will put this menu that the agent will understand into its memory. So it will always sit as part of the context. And actually, it's a very simplistic agent, because normally when you're working with something more complicated, you have lots of different memory items that you retrieve based on user's request. But a menu is usually very small, so we can just keep it in the short-term memory for the whole term. But it will
But
still allow
practically,
us.
what will that mean? So it will take this information and use that as a prompt, or is that like store somehow and then search within it, or how's
Yeah,
it going?
basically, it's going to be part of the prompt. Actually, it's another piece of theory which we shouldn't go too deep in. Let me see if I have a slide right. No, I don't have a slide. But basically, anything that you're used to when interacting with things such as ChatGPT, for instance, chat history, or a system prompt, or any additional documents that you put in the context, they are all glued together. It's all just part of the huge blob of context that the LLM gets as input. So basically here, yes, the menu will always be a part of our context when we interact with LLM. And then our part of the context will be our chat history, so that the LLM knows what we were asking previously and what answers were given, so that there is continuity and context in our conversation. So the menu will serve as sort of static context for all our conversation, and then our actual conversation will be dynamic context.
Will there be any long-term memory here?
Not in this case, but I think in the
Okay.
future we could actually expand our agent to be able to store all kinds of different.
Okay, so we're going to ignore it for now.
Yeah, for now we can ignore it. Yeah, that's true. All right. So then the question is, because I know many people find it somewhat intimidating to build those agents. And let's just move here to the design stage. So we have design agents here in our tool. And actually, once you start and you click create new agent button, you will get the simplest possible agent. It's just user input, it's an LLM, and its outputs. So This is always your starting point. And basically, with this, you already are able to create an agent using any of the models that we support. So as you can see, we have all kinds of GPTs from OpenAI, we have all kinds of Claudes from Anthropic, we have Llamas from Meta, we have Gemini from Google. So
Okay,
you can pick, yeah.
are you showing your screen? Because I'm seeing the presentation now. And
All right, I am sorry about that. We need to change the screen share. Yeah. So, yep, here we go. So once again, guys, sorry, just to repeat what I was showing. As you get here in the studio and you press the plus button and you create new agent, you get the most basic agent that is possible with inputs, with an LLM node, and with outputs. Then you can choose any model you like. They differ in their performance, they differ in how they treat different languages, they differ in how much context you can put. For instance, GPT-4, you can put around 128,000 what's called tokens, which is roughly 500,000 characters of text. And for instance, in Gemini, in the latest Google model, you can put 2 million tokens, so almost 15 times more. And if you need to work with really long documents or with videos or with a bunch of images, actually Google Gemini might be your choice. So basically, depending on what task you want to solve, you can pick a different model. But since we are going to be working with a very simple task of talking to us through a menu, we can be very easy. But let's build our agent iteratively. So what we need first, we need something to read our menu and convert it into text, so that then our agent can actually work with it in memory.
okay, can I stop you here for a second? Is that what
Absolutely.
we're always going to start from? Agent inputs, agent output, and some processing box. Is that how it always organized by default?
Not necessarily. In most cases, when you're building an interactive agent that is supposed to interact with the human directly, yes, but you can also build an agent that is triggered, for instance, by an email coming to your inbox. Then
Right.
there is no need to have agent inputs. It will just be integration with your email system. And when a new email comes, the agent will run automatically. But these are not the agents we are building today.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's start with this first task. And again, when you're building the agent, it's always good to go iteratively, because otherwise you can get overwhelmed and it can become kind of difficult to comprehend. But if you split what you want to do into small tasks, and then if you think how a human would approach this task, this is usually the best way to do it. So the first thing we need to do, we need to take a screenshot of the menu and understand what's written there. It's both if a human does that or if an agent does it.
Okay.
Is
Okay. Let's talk about this a little bit before we
Yeah,
get to coding things and programming every step. Let's walk me through all the steps of the process. So the first step is reading the menu and generating some, I don't know, some context that we're
right.
going to use later, right? What's going to be
Yeah.
next?
Next, we will take the menu that is generated and we will create another agent that will use it as context to interact with us. And then we will expand on that agent a little bit. So today it's going to be a very easy two-step process. And
Okay.
then in the
To
end,
me,
we will
that
just,
sounds a little too general. So, what
yeah,
does it mean to interact with us? What will be like the primary task of this agent? Is it going to like? Let's think in terms of just researching and providing more context for the menu. So the second step, once we have retrieved the menu, will be to do what? Like to say, tell us more about every item, or
we will just then interact. We can say, I want something based on meat. What can you recommend? And we want
okay.
this agent to tell us a story about the dish,
Okay, so
not
we're
just
going
say,
to interact the same way as we do in ChatGPT. So using
yes.
the context of the menu. All right,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense. Okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then we'll try to connect these agents into a bigger agent so that we don't need to work with several, but it's just one nice agent that can read the menu and then work with that menu. So let's start. The first one, as we mentioned, we need to build the one that understands the menu. So we don't need the LLM node. We go here into different nodes. We choose the node that is called image to text. Then what we do, we will choose a reasonably good model that provides detailed descriptions. We will connect user prompt to the user prompt because that's where we would want to add some instructions. And then we will connect image to the input because we also need to provide an image of the menu. And then we'll just put an output to the outputs. Because again, this is just a test agent. It will be a part of a bigger agent, but for now we are moving in small steps. So we just want to read the menu and understand it. So
Okay,
this,
I understand the image part here. That's the image we have taken of the menu. What's the user prompt? Is that going to be some kind of default instruction that we're going to write, or what is it?
yeah, well, in the user prompt, we can give some additional instructions. And actually, it doesn't matter in this case where you give them, either in the user prompt or in the system prompt. So, but normally, when we are building an agent like this, we don't want to expose these additional instructions to the user. We want to hide them, so we will make it part of the system prompt. So
So
what?
potentially we could make it more parsimonious and get rid of user prompt altogether
Correct,
for
correct.
this
We
purpose.
we, we
Okay.
could we could do without the user prompt just by copying an image. Um, but yeah, so here let's just write a very basic system prompt, and also system prompts. I have to make this comment because I think at some point it became quite popular, prompt engineering as a specialty or as a profession. But then people started to be afraid or not willing to experiment. I don't know, but system prompting is very easy actually. Yes, there are additional tricks that you can learn by reading research papers or by going through the university courses on integrail, which we are putting out every week. But uh, normally for you to start, for 85 or maybe 90% of the cases, the main thing you should remember is that when you write a system prompt, imagine you're talking to a person, and actually to a pretty reasonably smart person. You don't need to detail everything in a very detailed way. The modern models are quite good at understanding your intentions and then providing some good starting points which you can further improve. For instance, here, what we want, we say you will be given an image of a restaurant menu. Your task is to understand it and describe all the items on the menu in the following format. Dish name, dish description, including ingredients, price. Please respond with a nicely formatted markdown. So normally something like that for a simple task like this is more than enough. You don't need to provide examples, what's called few shot learning, etc. We'll get into this more advanced stuff later. But for what we're trying to do, this should be more than enough. So let's just
Okay,
call.
can I interrupt you for a second? There's a
Yeah.
question in the chat which is very fitting for this moment. We're using an existing image, and what if the menu is hosted on a website? Is there an easy way to grab it from there?
Yes, there is a relatively easy way to grab it from there, but let's get to it a bit later. Again, we want to move step by step, so let's first make sure we understand images. Then we will get to grabbing images. Okay, so yeah, we have written this. Now we actually need to save this agent so that it's not lost. Let's name it something like menu reader. Save it. Then we actually need to find the menu, and it's another point I want to make now, that we could have made this show scripted, but I actually think it's more fun to do it on the fly. Maybe depending on the feedback we'll change it, but everything I'm doing I didn't prepare. I'm actually doing it as we go, and that's, I think, makes it more adrenaline based. But we need to find a picture of a menu. Let me Okay, let me just find it here so that you are watching what am I doing.
We're not seeing what you're doing. Just change the window or share the screen.
No, I'm gonna do it in the same window. Yeah, an
All right.
image of the French restaurant menu. Okay, let's go into images. Let's see if we find something. I don't know. Okay, this is English. Well, let's start with English. Then we can, if we find the French one, we will do the French one. Okay, so I'm making a screenshot of the menu.
That, by the way, addresses the question, right? So if there was a menu online, we would do the same thing. That's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
you could just do a screenshot. That's the easiest way. Okay, then we go. Well, we could do it in the design agent part, but this is such a simple agent that we don't need to do any debugging. So we'll just go into chat with agents right away. We'll choose our menu reader. Now, this is a bit complex at this point, but we will change it in the future updates of the product. So if when you do a screenshot, you can paste here, and then you wait a little bit because it gets uploaded to our service. Then you should take this link and go into agent inputs, and then we put it as part of the image. But we'll make it transparent and easy to use in the future. It's just if you want to try using it now. Okay, now it doesn't matter really what we write here. Let's just
Hold
write.
on, so I see like a place where you put a link, but you can also upload a file here now.
Yes, if you have a file, you can just upload the file, then it's easier. So we gave it an image. As you can see, it does exactly what we asked it for. It provides a nicely formatted markdown of the menu that we have. And again, we're experimenting. This is a small one. We can work with more complex ones in the future. Let's just build an agent first. So we know that the part of reading the menus now works. What we can do now, and again, now we're doing it manually, but in the end, we will connect everything so that it's one big agent that does everything automatically. So what we need to do is we need to copy this. And this is also good for educational purposes to the question that Andrei asked previously, like where does it sit in context, etc., etc. So let's copy this menu. Now let's go back to design agents and let's create another very simple agent that is actually going to be just this. We're not going to change anything. It's just one LLM. Let's again use GPT-4 as it's a reasonably good default. And then in the system prompt, once again, as we would be talking to a person, let's just say, you are a great, proud, fun French chef. Here is the menu of your restaurant. And now we just copy what we have. And as I mentioned, normally if you have lots of different information, you have to work with this context dynamically. This is something we will look at in the next installments. For now, the menu is very small. Even if we had a very long menu, you could just still put all of it into a system prompt and it will work like a charm. So we have given it the menu of the restaurant. Now we need to give some additional instructions what we want this bot to do with us.
Okay, can I undermine your presentation a little bit?
All
So
right.
I'm a little confused. It looks like we're doing everything manually now, instead of just building an agent that would take a menu, generate a text, and then pass it to the next stage. Is that just for like to make things quick, or are we going to automate it eventually?
We are going to automate it eventually. Just I want to make sure every step is absolutely clear. And
Okay,
also,
all
this
right.
is how I am building agents when I'm building them. I'm building the small blocks, then I'm connecting them into a bigger agent which
So
automates
we're
everything.
prototyping essentially, right? This is
Exactly.
not the agent
Exactly.
that we're going to have in the end. This is just
Exactly.
to illustrate every step. Okay, all right.
Yes, exactly. It's, I mean, as if you would be designing, I don't know, a character for a video game, or if you were a small creator of a very little universe, and you would need to create people for that universe.
Makes
First, you would
sense.
need to create different parts of the brain, then connect all of them together. That's kind of what we're doing. Um, all right. So once again, let's give our chef some instructions. We will say your task is to interact with the user, explain the menu to them, and not just describe the dish, but tell an entertaining story about this dish. Uh, so here we're just illustrating the creativity, you want to say, of LLMs, because I'm not providing very specific instructions. I'm just asking it to tell a story based on a dish. So let's see what kind of stories they tell and whether it's entertaining. But basically, it's to the point. For instance, if you do have a real restaurant and there is a real story behind a dish, you can just give it here in a couple of lines, and then the agent will use it as a basis and come up with additional details and fun and make it engaging. But let's see how engaging it is. Yeah, I think that should be enough for our initial stage. Let's name this agent Small Chef. Let's save it. And now what we also need to do, we need to make sure we put something in the chat history length. So if you were using integrail before, you might remember we had different types of LLM nodes. We killed it completely. Now there is just one type. If you keep chat history 0, or if you put 0 here explicitly, it will behave as a normal transactional LLM node, which is handy for doing like data transformation and stuff. But if you want it to actually talk to you, then it needs to follow the context. So it needs to use the chat history. So let's put something like 8. This should be a pretty reasonable number. Let's save it again. And then let's go back to chat with agents, select Small Chef, and just say hi. Let's see what happens. Okay, as you can see, it's already behaving French. It says, bonjour, welcome to my little corner of culinary paradise. So it's trying to put some personality into it. And this is another point, which is actually very easy, but people don't understand or underestimate it. When you're working with system prompts, you can create any tone of voice you want. And when you're working with ChatGPT or similar bots, it's not really the case. They have the system prompt written for you already. It defines lots and lots and lots of different parameters. You can vary the tone of voice or style they give to you to a certain extent from the user requests, but system prompts in that regard are much more powerful. So we just asked it to be proud, engaging French chef. It already is trying to put this personality into it. If you give it more examples, for instance, of your company's tone of voice or of some additional text, etc., it will be even better. But that's also another topic when people start saying there are all kinds of detectors of AI-generated texts. Well, yeah, you can detect the texts that are generated with generic tone of voice, but once you customize it, I mean, come on. So for good content creation, if you're a little bit creative, you can really use these guys to a large extent. Okay, but it wants to tell us about what they have on the menu. So let's say we want some meat. Let's be savage. We want some meat. I'll just I don't think it's nothing you would say to a real French.
This is a little too verbose.
No, but it's a story. Exactly. That's what I asked it for. Picture this: a quaint village in the heart of Burgundy, where the air is filled with the aroma of simmering beef, red wine, and herbs. The dish was born from the hands of a humble farmer's wife who sought to create something extraordinary, etc., etc. I mean, yeah, you could make it less verbose, but it's fun. So again, maybe you don't want it when you're just a tourist and you want to read the menu, but if you're a restaurant owner and you want to have an artificial, waiter that is engaging for the customers, this might be something you're looking for, right?
Is
So
it easy to convert it into a speech, kind of a
exactly, let's
audio?
convert it to a speech, because that should be more fun. Let's see how easy it is to do. Let's go back to design agents. And to convert anything that comes from LLM box to a speech, you can attach another node that's called text to speech. Let's find it here, text to speech. And we just connect output to input and output to output. That's it. That's how easy it is. Now, all we need to do is just choose a voice. I think our chef is a man, so let's choose a man's voice.
So you can't
Connect
give
it.
him French accent. You can't really.
Yeah, eventually we'll be able to. We are constantly expanding the list of models we support. There are some very nice models which allow you to customize the voices any way you want. They're coming up, but currently we have just some predefined voices. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's save it. Let's go back to chat with agents. We'll go to small chef. Okay, we know what you think. Okay, let's ask what else interesting do you have? Okay, so it's telling us about some cheese souffle, and now it's generating the audio. We also have an option to generate an audio on the go, so that it actually starts talking faster than it finished generating the actual text. It will be available next
Nice.
week. But
Okay.
now let me see. Actually, if I play it, you probably won't be able to hear it. How can we do that? Okay, let me try to turn it on.
Ah, let me whisk you away to the world of our delightful cheese
Yeah. Do you
soufflés.
hear anything?
Imagine, if you
I
will,
hear
a
everything.
bustling Parisian kitchen in the 18th century, where a young chef named Pierre was determined to impress the love of his life, the beautiful and discerning Madeleine. Pierre knew that Madeleine had a penchant for the light and airy, so he set out to create a dish that would capture her heart. He carefully separated eggs, whisking the whites into fluffy clouds, while gently warming milk and
It's an
cheese
amazing
to create a
story.
rich, velvety base. With a deft hand, he folded the two together, whispering sweet nothings to the batter as he poured it into ramekins. As the
It
soufflés
got it
baked,
just from
they
the
rose
menu, guys,
majestically,
and then a
like the
couple
Eiffel
of
Tower
lines
reaching
of
for the
the
sky.
system prompt.
When Pierre presented them to Madeleine, her eyes sparkled with delight, and with the first bite, she was smitten. The soufflé was a triumph, a testament to Pierre's culinary prowess and his love for Madeleine. Today, our cheese soufflés continue to enchant diners with their delicate texture and rich flavor. They are a testament to the magic that happens when passion and skill come together in the kitchen. Would you like to try this enchanting dish?
Yes, I would like to try this enchanting dish. Wouldn't you? So
Is this something that only works well in English, or does it work with other languages?
no, it works. Yeah, it works with other languages as well. So I mean, since we're having fun today and it's our pilot episode, let's just go crazy. And okay, now we're generating voice. Let's also add generating of pictures. Pictures would probably be not as fun and not as beautiful, but let's try. I mean, why not? So it will also illustrate some of the additional approaches that you can do when you're building an agent. So to generate a picture, what we need to do, we can just directly put the output into an image generation LLM or model, but it's not the optimal way because the story is a story, but a prompt for an image generation node should be different style. So what you want to do in such cases, and this is also something that gives you great flexibility when using a tool like integrail as compared to, for instance, with just basic chats, is that you can connect as many LLM boxes as possible, so as you want. So here we will just add one other LLM box, which will do the following. It will take whatever story it has produced, we'll put it to the system prompt, And then we will ask it to create a very nice prompt. You will be given a dish description with a backstory. Your task is to create a prompt for, again, I'm just explaining something to them as I would talk to a human, nothing more and nothing less. Prompt for an image generation model that would present this dish as beautiful as possible. And then we just give an additional instruction, because sometimes it starts giving additional comments. We'll just say respond only with the prompt. Usually that is enough. Let's save it again. But now, once the prompt is here, we also need to connect some image generation nodes. So let's find them here. Text to image. Let's take a couple because there are different models that provide different performance. We put the same prompt into all of them. I'm just connecting it here. Then let's pick different models. DALL-E is actually surprisingly not good at image generating. Let's take Playground. It's a pretty good one. And we can take stable image. I don't know, SD3 large, for instance, is another one. And then let's also connect to the agent outputs. Let's save it once again, and let's see what the result is going to be. So come back to our small chef and say, wow, what a great story. What else do you have? All right, it will create something else, another story. And now it is generating both the voice as well as the images. So these are, this is the first image. And this is the second image. I'm not sure if that's what the chef had in mind, but again, since we're having fun, this is...
Okay, all right. That looks kind of useful and nice, but what if I want to use the actual images from the internet for this dish? Can we kind of look them up?
You mean we can search? Yeah, no, we can search. We can search for a dish like that. Actually, that's a great question and a great task, which will also show you the limitations, because we don't have that much time. I don't think we want to go over an hour, but let's try to extend this agent even more and do an internet search for a dish that is being described, because then what we will see is that extracting relevant images from pages is not a trivial task. I'm sure what we will come up with today will probably not give us good results, but let's try. So we go back to design agents. But it's a good educational exercise because you will also learn how to do Google search using our agents. So what we want to do, once again, we want to have another LLM node. Let's just add it. Another LLM node that generates a Google search query, because once again, we cannot search for the whole story. It will find, I don't want to know what it will find. So we connect this. We connect this to user prompt here. Again, let's just go to our default. And here in the system prompt, we say formulate a short Google search query that will find pictures of the dish that is described in user prompt. And again, we will ask it to respond only with the search query. Okay, then we need to attach an actual...
Can you explain the last line? So what if I did not write respond only with the search
Yeah,
query.
it's like we did with the images. Basically, if you don't write it, sometimes it starts to explain. It will tell you because it's trying to be helpful. It will say, sure, I'm happy to provide the Google search query for you. Here it is. We don't want that. We just want the query. So we go into Google search. It's right here. So Google search, we take the output into search query. We are not gonna search for too many. Let's just search for, let's say, 3. So now this is an interesting problem, as I mentioned, because I'm pretty sure it will not find direct links to the images. But let's see. Let's first just get all the URLs without any post-processing. Then we will add some as the last step, and we can finish on that today. So I just connected all the URLs that Google search finds. Normally, we would also want to actually read the contents of those URLs, put it into another LLM so that it does some additional analysis. Maybe we would want to do it here as well, because what we may want to do, we may say, here is a link where there will be some images to a dish. Try to find those links. It will try with different results, but let's just see what is being found as it is. So let's save it. Once again, go to Small Chef. I think our menu is actually, we're running out of items. Let's just say, okay, tell me about the meat again. So, okay. Did we break something? We might have broken something, but this means we can go back to design agents and actually debug it here a little bit. So let's just ask the same here. So tell us about the meat again. Run. So let's see which nodes work, which nodes don't work.
That's pretty cool.
Actually, this one stops working. Why? I actually know why. That's because we included images in the chat history. Yeah, and it confuses it. So this is something we are working on to fix, but the way to go around it, since we still want to test our agent, let's just kill the chat history length to 0 right now and ask the same question. Tell us about the meat again and run it. Yeah, now as you can see, it's working. It's definitely a small bug that we'll need to address. But as you can see now, this has worked. And once you're running this, you can also see the output on all the nodes. For instance, this one, we asked to provide the search query. Here is the result it came up with: French toast with onion and bacon. That's it. Very nice Google search query. It should find something good. So let's see what it found. It still gets recorded into chat history, so it's easier to look here. So here are some links. So here is what it generated. Actually, it generates pretty decent pictures for these dishes. But let's see what it found. Okay, it's share this tab instead. So yeah, as I mentioned, it finds the actual page that contains description of such dishes. So if you want to get to actual pictures of these dishes, it's a bit trickier, because then you need to put another LLM behind this URL, read it. But since today we are kind of running out of time, what I encourage you to do is test it out yourselves. So what you can do, I will start building it here, and then you can experiment and maybe share the results or come up with additional ideas. So we have a node that's called readability. The goal of readability is to read all kinds of documents, including URLs. So you can give a URL here as an attachment to readability. It will convert it to a nice markdown format. You don't want to give raw HTML to an LLM. There is too much junk. It's all kinds of divs and breaks, etc. So we convert it to markdown that contains most of the sense and meaningful information. And then you would put another LLM here. You would connect the content that's read by readability to this LLM. And then here you could experiment with system prompts.
Anton, you're not showing your agent builder. You're showing the...
Once again, sorry about that. So this is what I was doing. I took the readability node. Let me just do it again. I'll delete it. I took the readability node, the one that converts and reads different documents. I connect the URL to attachment. I connect content to another LLM node. And then for this LLM node, you need to experiment with system prompts. What you want to do, you wanted to understand the text and find the links to images that are most likely to be the images of the dish that we have formulated a search query here. So I would say with that, during doing just some fun activity, we already created a quite a sophisticated agent that looks maybe scary on the surface, but if you followed what we were doing, I'm sure it should be quite easy for you. So what we didn't do here, we did not connect the initial agent that reads the menu and then puts it into the context of the chef agent that does everything else. This is also a little bit of an advanced functionality, and I would maybe prefer to keep it for the next one of the next series.
Let me ask you a couple of big picture questions, Anton.
Yeah.
So obviously you have worked a lot on agent designer. You know how it works. And suppose I'm just a viewer, all right, who got interested, who wants to get his hands dirty. How do I find out which boxes to use, which kind of how to connect them, and like what would be the best approach for someone who's just starting, who has not done it ever before? Would you say that just following the steps of our stream is a good start, or should be something more basic?
Yeah, I mean, we are working as a team because Integrail is a startup. We only launched like a month and a half ago, frankly speaking. But we will definitely provide all kinds of tutorials how to do this and how to do that and all these little things. But I personally believe that the best way to learn is on use cases. So today we try to take a fun use case, working with menus in the restaurants, and show how it can be made more interesting, more easy, more fun using the agents. And then we just went through all these steps. Along the way, trying to explain the concepts such as system prompting, then we will start talking about more complicated concepts such as RAG, retrieval augmented generation, etc., etc. But basically, what we want this to do, we want to make this interactive. We want for you guys to come to us and say, we have this idea, how do we build it? Let's build it together. And we would be doing that. And this way we would learn together. We would build fun, useful, interesting agents together. And I think this is the best and the most fun way, again, to learn how to work with AI, how to work with AI agents. And another great thing is that no coding is required whatsoever. It's just connecting the nodes and writing system prompts. That's it.
Okay, so next question that I have is we're doing all this in the comfort of our homes, right? We're sitting in front of computers. We have all the time in the world. But for someone who is actually traveling around, going to restaurants, how would we operationalize the use of Integrail? Like, would we build the agent ahead of time and somehow just access it via the web interface, or what would we do?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we will do. Actually, I will finish this agent to its final state, as we described. We'll take a look at how I achieved it in the next session real quick, so that we don't leave some questions unanswered. But we will finalize this agent. We will put into section of sample or featured agents on the Integrail website. Actually, if you go, well, it doesn't matter. If you just log in and you go to the main page, you see those featured agents there. And then everybody will be able to use it. And the way to use it from your phone is very easy. You snap a picture, you upload it to this agent, and that's it. It's just going to work with you just as we did right now. Eventually, we're actually working on creating a mobile universal interface. So you can create any kind of agent on Integrail, and then you will have an app with which you will be able to interact with this agent. We're not there yet, but even through the web, it's quite convenient at this point.
Okay, so with this next step, like an entrepreneur would be able to come and build their agent, turn it into an app, and sell it in the app store.
Exactly. Yes, that's also one of the goals. Anybody who has idea for cool agents, you're welcome. Try, build them, deploy them to the cloud, work with them via API, put them to app stores or wherever you want, and also, make some money along the way.
Nice. Looks good.
All right. So yeah, I think it was a pretty good pilot episode. There was some organizational hiccups which we hope to fix. Thank you everybody who attended. Thank you for your questions. If you have any follow-up ideas, come to my LinkedIn or leave comments to the stream. We will reread all of them, and we will try to make the next session even more engaging. But for now, thank you very much. Anton Antic from Integrail. I had with me Andrei Korizhnych, a professor of economics in Arizona State University. We had fun. I hope you had fun. And let's grow this together. Let's build some agents. Thank you,
Anton.
guys.